In the beginning of all beginnings, before coin or kingdom, before the thought of wealth or poverty, there was the Word. The Word was the first movement of divine mind into creation, the spark that broke the stillness, the vibration that shaped both heaven and earth. Every sound, every syllable, every whispered decree carries within it the seed of form. To speak is to sculpt invisible matter. To utter is to mold substance. To pronounce is to command. Your word is not a small thing. It is the wand by which your universe bends. Every soul holds within its breath the same creative current that breathed galaxies into being. When you speak, you release this sacred current into motion. The unseen ethers, that subtle field of intelligence surrounding you, receive your command instantly. It does not question, it does not resist, it does not reason as mortals reason. It simply obeys, it arranges, it aligns, it constructs conditions according to the pattern of your speech. You may not see it at once, for manifestation has its seasons, but the decree is alive from the moment it is spoken. Words are not merely sounds that fade. They are living things. They clothe themselves in circumstance. They gather energy from emotion. They take root in the fertile soil of belief. When one speaks idly, the soil becomes tangled with weeds. When one speaks consciously, the garden of life bears fruit that nourishes and delights. You may think you are describing your life when you speak, but in truth you are designing it. You are not a reporter of circumstances, you are the architect of outcomes. There are those who have spoken themselves into wealth and those who have spoken themselves into want. One says, "I never have enough," and the universe replies, "So be it." Another says, "All that is mine by divine right now rushes to me," and the same universe bows and opens every door. The difference is not in destiny, but in declaration. The same infinite law stands ready to serve both. The law of the spoken word, the law that listens to every vibration of thought made audible. When you realize the magnitude of your own voice, you will guard every sentence as though it were gold. You will not utter a single phrase of lack, for you will know that every word either builds or breaks your fortune. Speech is seed, and harvest is inevitable. The careless tongue sows scarcity. The wise tongue calls forth abundance. Therefore speak only what you wish to see made flesh. The spoken word carries within it three powers: intention, vibration, and authority. Intention is the direction of your will. Vibration is the living energy that travels upon your tone. Authority is the certainty that your decree cannot return void. To speak without intention is to scatter energy. To speak without vibration is to utter empty air. To speak without authority is to deny your divine inheritance. When the three are joined, the word becomes law in motion. Each time you speak with faith, you press a pattern upon the unseen substance that fills all space. This substance is obedient, receptive, limitless. It molds itself around your belief. As water takes the shape of the vessel, if your word is steeped in fear, the form will carry fear. If it is filled with confidence, the form will shine with power. The universe does not interpret, it only mirrors, it gives back in multiplied measure, whatever tone you set within your declaration. The masters of life have always known this secret. They have spoken prosperity before it appeared, health before it was visible, love before it was tangible. They understood that speech is not for description, but for creation. The fool says, "I will believe it when I see it." The wise one says, "I will see it because I have spoken it." The word precedes the world. It is the cause before the effect, the seed before the bloom, the command before the appearance. Each syllable carries weight in the realm of cause. The more feeling you infuse into it, the deeper it imprints upon the field of creation. Empty phrases lack magnetism, but words spoken from the heart, vibrating with conviction, pierce the veil between seen and unseen. They are carried by the river of energy that flows through every dimension. This is why prayer, affirmation, and decree are not mere spiritual exercises. They are acts of cosmic engineering. When you speak of lack, You charge your environment with the vibration of limitation. When you declare abundance, you fill the same environment with the pulse of prosperity. The energy of your word wraps itself around people, objects, and events like an invisible cloak. Those who speak blessings find themselves blessed. Those who curse find their own path strewn with thorns. The law cannot be broken, for it is the law of resonance. What you send forth returns multiplied. The mind may doubt, the eyes may not yet see, but the word goes before you to prepare the way. It gathers opportunities you could never arrange, introduces coincidences no logic could design. It draws from the infinite storehouse the substance that matches your decree. Speak of abundance, and the channels of supply awaken. Speak of limitation, and they close like shutters at dusk. You are the keeper of the gate. Your tongue turns the key. If you desire to transform your life, begin with your speech. Replace every utterance of fear with one of faith, every phrase of complaint with one of gratitude, every lament with a decree of success. Say aloud that which you wish to live, tabawd, as though wealth were already coursing toward you, as though opportunity stood knocking at your door. Feel the vibration of your own authority, and let your word be final. There is no power in heaven or earth that can resist the command of one who speaks from alignment with divine law. For the word was with the source, and the word was the source. When you speak from that inner certainty, your voice becomes an instrument of the infinite. You are not begging, you are declaring. You are not hoping, you are knowing. You are not asking for wealth to come. You are commanding wealth to reveal itself from the invisible treasury that has always been yours. Understand this: the power does not lie in the word alone, but in the consciousness behind it. Two people may utter the same phrase, one will find it lifeless, the other will see miracles. It is the belief that breathes life into the syllables, the unwavering faith that fuses sound with substance. Therefore, cultivate the inner knowing that your words are law. Feel the authority of divine ownership before you speak, and the universe will rush to obey. There are ancient records that speak of kings and prophets who spoke worlds into being, yet that same power sleeps in the simplest soul. Every mother whispering comfort, every worker affirming hope, every child declaring, "I can," all are wielding the same creative force that shaped stars. The difference lies not in status but in awareness. The one who knows the secret uses it consciously. The one who does not uses it blindly. But both are creating. Each word you have ever spoken lives still in the ether, shaping the landscape of your days. The echoes of yesterday's decrees have become the walls of today's experience. If those walls feel confining, speak anew and watch them crumble. Declare, "I am free, I am supplied, I am guided," and the invisible begins its silent labor to rearrange your affairs accordingly. The universe does not sleep, it listens eternally. Let your words, therefore, be chosen as jewels, each one polished by intention and set with clarity. Let them carry the tone of command, not of complaint. Let them move as music through the air, aligning heaven and earth with their vibration. When you awaken to the sacredness of speech, you will measure every phrase, knowing that it either opens or closes the doors of fortune. In this awareness, the tongue becomes the wand, the breath the spell, and the heart the altar upon which creation unfolds. You will speak less, but each word will blaze with meaning. You will utter once, and reality will move to obey. You will no longer waste energy in repetition, for you will know that the first decree spoken in faith has already set the unseen machinery of abundance into motion. And so, when the moment comes to declare your wealth, speak not as a beggar, nor as a skeptic, but as one who remembers the power of their own word, the word that began all things, the word that moves through you still, shaping, forming, and calling into being all that you dare to affirm. There is a moment when the heart stands still, when thought and breath dissolve into a single certainty, and the soul speaks one command that reshapes the world. In that moment, the word is not many, but one. It does not strive, it does not plead, It does not repeat itself to be heard. It knows that it is the law, and that law requires no persuasion. The power that governs the stars is not noisy. It declares once, and eternity obeys. To speak one perfect command is to remember who you are in the order of things. You are not a seeker begging the heavens for favor. You are the heir of the infinite, issuing a decree to substance itself. The unseen listens for that tone, the voice that does not waver. The universe knows when you have spoken from truth, and it moves instantly to fulfill your word. Every atom becomes a servant. Every circumstance rearranges its pattern. Every barrier dissolves like mist before the sun. The human mind, restless and uncertain, often believes that repetition increases power. It chants and worries, prays and doubts, affirming today and denying tomorrow. But creation does not answer quantity. It answers quality. It answers the vibration of knowing. When you say a thing once with complete conviction, the law is sealed. When you repeat it with fear, you break the seal. The first command has already gone forth. The echo of doubt only delays its arrival. Consider the way the sun rises. It does not try, it simply appears. No argument, no hesitation, no self-questioning. So too must your decree rise from the center of your being, inevitable, natural, and calm. When the inner word aligns perfectly with divine principle, you need not speak again. For the moment the word leaves your lips, it becomes flesh in the invisible. The power that sustains all life has heard, and it begins to organize itself around your utterance. One perfect command is not shouted into the air, it is breathed into the silence of certainty. You may speak it aloud or whisper it within, but its strength lies not in volume, but in authority. The divine ear listens not to sound but to tone, the tone of absolute alignment. When the tone is pure, it pierces every veil. It does not need to repeat itself, for the vibration lingers, echoing through every layer of reality, until it finds expression in form. To arrive at such a word, one must first still the inner noise. The command cannot rise from confusion. It comes only when the mind is clear, when fear has been emptied out, when the heart stands in quiet agreement with the infinite. This stillness is not idleness. It is mastery. It is the moment before lightning strikes, a pause dense with power. From that pause, the decree emerges whole, charged with the authority of heaven and anchored in the faith of earth. You may call it the sacred word, the seed word, the master phrase. It is always simple, direct, unadorned. There are no ornaments of explanation, no attempts to convince. The command does not explain itself. It establishes itself. Let there be light. 4 words, and the darkness was undone. So too must your decree be concise. Say it once, and release it. Do not chase it with anxiety. Do not look over your shoulder to see if it worked. The one who commands does not monitor the obedience of the law. In the moment of perfect command, your entire being unites. Thought, feeling, and will become one vibration. There is no split between desire and belief, no argument between hope and doubt. The inner and outer self join hands, and the decree moves through both worlds like a current of fire. This unity cannot be faked. The universe recognizes sincerity, not words. It hears the truth in your tone and responds with the exact measure of your conviction. Imagine a king seated upon his throne. He does not repeat an order to prove his power. He speaks once, knowing his command sets the wheels of the realm in motion. If his tone faltered, his servants would doubt, but his voice is steady because he knows who he is. So too must you remember your own sovereignty. You are not a beggar in the court of fortune. You are the rightful ruler of your own dominion. Speak from that throne, and creation will rush to serve. The perfect command carries the energy of completion. It does not ask, it declares. It does not hope, it knows. It is spoken from the consciousness that what is decreed already exists in the invisible and now demands expression in the visible. When you utter such a word, You are not creating wealth from nothing. You are releasing it from potential into form. You are opening the floodgate, and the waters move, because you have remembered that they were always waiting for your signal. To say something once, with divine certainty, requires the courage to rest afterward. This is the test of mastery, the stillness that follows speech. Many speak their word, and then undo it with worry. They sow the seed and dig it up each morning to check if it has grown. But the perfect command requires faith enough to let it be. The soil knows how to do its work. The law knows how to fulfill itself. The one who trusts does not disturb the process. This is why silence is the companion of power. After the decree, one must fall into the quiet of expectation. This is not empty waiting, but the calm of knowing that what has been spoken is already done. The perfect command creates its own momentum. It travels through invisible channels, drawing to itself people, events, and resources. The one who spoke it need only remain poised in gratitude, for the law is already operating with precision. The mind will sometimes whisper, "Say it again." Perhaps the first time was not enough. But this is the voice of doubt, not wisdom. The perfect command does not depend on repetition. It depends on alignment. You may repeat it if joy compels you, but not if fear demands it. The difference is subtle but immense. When the repetition springs from delight, it multiplies power. When it springs from anxiety, it scatters it. Therefore, speak only from serenity. There are those who imagine that wealth arrives through labor alone, through planning and striving and constant effort. Yet the perfect command works on a higher law, the law of instant correspondence. The moment the inner vibration matches abundance, the outer begins to rearrange. The channels of supply, invisible though they are, quicken. Money, opportunity, and favor find their way like rivers toward the sea, all because one word was spoken with full faith and released without fear. To speak such a word, you must feel it first as truth. You must sense it as already real. The statement, "I am supplied in every direction now," must not be a hope, but a recognition. Feel its reality under your skin. Hear its harmony within your chest, and then let it go into the air. The power is not in the phrase itself, but in the awareness it carries. Words without spirit are husks. Words filled with spirit are living forces. The ancients taught that the name of a thing contains its essence. When you speak a name with understanding, you awaken that essence. So when you name your good, when you declare, "Wealth is mine," by right of consciousness, you call forth its life. The thing itself begins to stir, seeking its reflection in your world. This is the mystery of the perfect command, that speech, joined with faith, becomes incarnation. The invisible takes body through the word. Every being has within them a moment of mastery, waiting to be remembered, the moment when the inner voice rises clear and strong, needing no witness, needing no repetition. That word is your rod and your staff. It cuts through resistance, opens paths, alters fates. You may speak it in solitude, and yet mountains will move. You may whisper it in a room of darkness, and yet light will pour through every crack. The law cannot resist a tone of certainty, for it was born from certainty itself. When you feel the impulse to declare, pause until your mind is calm and your feeling pure, then speak. Say it once. Let it fall into the silence like a seed into fertile ground. Do not chase it. Do not question it. Let the echo of your own authority ring in the chambers of creation. One perfect command, spoken with unwavering faith, contains the force of 1,000 prayers, for it carries no contradiction, no doubt, no delay. It is the voice of alignment, the moment when the human tongue and the divine will speak as one. The universe is not distant, nor slow, nor deaf to the voice of those who speak with conviction. It is immediate, alive, and alert to the vibration of every conscious word. There is no interval between the decree and its answer in the unseen realm. The delay perceived by human eyes is only the adjustment of form to match the frequency of faith. Yet the response itself, the invisible movement, begins the very instant the word is spoken. The great law does not sleep, nor wait to be reminded. It acts the moment it is called. All around you, there exists an ocean of divine substance, a field of intelligence without limit or inertia. It is the living body of supply, the mind of creation, the very breath of manifestation. This field listens. It listens not to your cries but to your vibration, not to your wishes but to your knowing. When you speak from authority and faith, the vibration ripples outward faster than light, faster than thought itself, carrying your decree across the infinite fabric of being. Creation bends to accommodate the sound, because that sound carries the signature of divine origin. There is no hierarchy of difficulty for this law. To it, the creation of a coin and the creation of a kingdom are the same. It does not judge your request by size, but by certainty. The instant your word is born in perfect belief, the universal field aligns to fulfill it. Forces unseen begin to shift. People feel an urge. Doors open without reason. Paths appear where none existed. You may call it coincidence, but there is no coincidence in the realm of cause. There is only the swift obedience of law to consciousness. Those who live by fear imagine that the universe delays, that it withholds until they are worthy or until time deems it proper. But the universe withholds nothing. It is the perfect mirror, responding exactly and instantly to the tone you send into it. When you say, "I am rich in divine substance now," that truth begins to take shape. It may not appear as sudden rain of gold, for manifestation follows channels already present in your world, but the shift begins at once. Every current starts to flow toward the fulfillment of that word. Instantaneous does not always mean visible. The roots grow before the flower appears. The law does its work in silence and precision long before the eye can behold the harvest. Those who lose faith because they do not see immediate proof uproot their own good. The wise understand that the invisible movement is already proof of success. The decree has been received, the blueprint drawn, the foundation laid. What you call waiting is only the time needed for form to crystallize from essence. The universe never argues. It accepts every declaration as truth and moves to make it visible. When you say, "Money flows easily to me," the invisible current begins to form. When you say, "Nothing ever works out," the same law begins to assemble failure. It is impartial, mechanical in accuracy, spiritual in scope. It has no humor, no judgment, no pity, only obedience. The power that turns planets cannot discriminate between one who uses it wisely and one who uses it foolishly. It only echoes the tone given to it. The great error of humankind is the belief that the universe listens to words alone. It listens to the energy beneath them. The voice of the lips may speak abundance, but if the heart whispers fear, the law hears fear. The vibration of emotion is the true command. Words without feeling are paper boats upon the sea. They drift and sink, but a word filled with conviction becomes a vessel of power, cutting through waves, carried by the wind of certainty. Thus, the speed of manifestation is determined by the purity of the tone, not the eloquence of the phrase. To experience the instantaneous response of the universe, one must learn the still art of alignment. Alignment is not effort. It is surrender to the natural order of abundance. The universe is not withholding wealth from you. It is waiting for you to stop contradicting your own decree. Each doubt is a counter-command. Each fear is a reversal of current. Speak once in faith, and the river begins to flow. Worry once, and you dam the stream. The law responds instantly to both, for both are words backed by emotion. Imagine the unseen world as a grand orchestra, and you as its conductor. Every thought, every word, every feeling is a note you strike. The orchestra does not hesitate. It plays at once. If your tone is discordant, the music mirrors confusion. If your tone is harmonious, the symphony of life swells in perfection. The universe has no delay, only immediate reflection. You hear your own composition echoed back as circumstance, relationship, and fortune. To change the music, change the tone. In the realm of divine law, time is not linear, it is elastic. The moment you affirm a truth, that truth exists. The delay is not in creation, but in reception. Your inner readiness determines how swiftly you can receive what is already given. The command is answered instantly, but the vessel of consciousness must be expanded to hold it. One who believes they are small cannot receive the abundance of the infinite, though it stands ready beside them. Thus, growth in faith is growth in capacity. The universe never withholds. It simply fills the container you present. There are moments when an individual speaks a decree and sees evidence within hours. Others may wait weeks. The difference is never in the law, only in the resistance of the receiver. Doubt slows energy. Certainty accelerates it. Gratitude dissolves friction. Fear creates turbulence. When you declare with joy and release with peace, manifestation rushes forward unimpeded. But when you speak and then measure, question, or lament, you press the brakes upon your own creation. The universe keeps moving. It is your consciousness that stalls. To feel the instantaneous response, you must also learn to perceive beyond the senses. Look not for proof in the marketplace, but in the subtle currents of intuition. After a true decree, you will feel a change in the air around you, a lightness, a hum, a certainty that cannot be described but only known. That sensation is the movement of power. It is the pulse of the universe aligning with your word. You may notice new ideas arriving, unexpected messages, sudden clarity. These are the footsteps of manifestation approaching. Every force in nature obeys this principle. The seed responds at once to water and light. The flame answers instantly to oxygen. The tide moves the moment the moon calls. The universe has no delay mechanism, only sequence. The cause is spoken. The effect begins. If it seems to take time, it is only the unfolding of order. The law is instant in obedience, but gradual in appearance. For form must assemble in patterns harmonious with all other creation. Nothing is withheld. Everything is timed to perfection. When you say, "All channels of prosperity open to me now," the infinite intelligence that governs commerce, human hearts, and opportunity begins to adjust. The merchant receives an idea. The employer feels a nudge. The friend recalls your name. The stranger crosses your path, all moved by one current. You see only fragments, but the law coordinates every detail. Its response is immediate, but its execution unfolds through the web of life, touching countless threads to deliver the result. Understand this clearly. The universe does not need time to create. Time is the shadow of creation. The moment the word is spoken with faith, the reality exists. What appears as waiting is simply the moment you require to move into the same vibration as your decree. When you speak abundance but live in fear, you are out of rhythm. When you speak abundance and feel peace, you step into its frequency, and the forms meet you halfway. The dance of manifestation is instant in the music, but visible only when you move with it. Many souls have prayed long and believed little. They imagine the divine must be persuaded, when in truth it is immediate. The universe answers not according to pleading, but according to position. If you stand in lack, your prayer becomes the echo of want. If you stand in fulfillment, your decree becomes the song of arrival. The shift happens in an instant. The moment you claim the reality within, the outer begins to mirror it. There is no distance between cause and effect, only agreement or resistance. To live in awareness of the instantaneous response is to walk in continual creation. You speak, and you know it is done. You think, and you know the pattern is already forming. You feel gratitude before sight, because you trust the invisible machinery that never falters. Every breath becomes a prayer of command. Every silence, a field of manifestation. You no longer ask when. You know now is the only moment that exists. and the law has already obeyed. There is no such thing as lack in the heart of creation. The infinite knows no emptiness, no shortage, no waiting line for blessing. The rivers of divine substance are endless, flowing from an unseen source that never depletes, never falters, never needs to restock. Every soul is born within this ocean of provision, yet most live as though stranded upon a desert, thirsting for what already surrounds them. The illusion of lack is not in the world, but in perception. The one who aligns with infinite supply steps out of illusion and into the current where all things already are. Alignment is the secret key. It is not labor, not struggle, not conquest. It is remembrance, the art of turning back to the truth that supply is everywhere and for everyone. The universe holds nothing back. It mirrors only the degree of your openness to receive. The moment your mind ceases to wrestle with appearances, the moment your heart ceases to declare separation, the moment your word agrees with abundance, you stand in alignment, and the current begins to move through you. All that you call wealth, prosperity, or good fortune is but a symbol of the one substance, the boundless intelligence that flows as everything you could ever desire. Money, ideas, relationships, opportunities, these are not separate gifts. They are different forms of the same infinite essence. That essence is abundance itself, pure, radiant, impartial, unending. It cannot run out, because it is not a thing, it is life's own expression. To align with it is to become its channel, to let it pass through your mind, your work, your words, your world. You cannot force this current, for force is resistance in disguise. The river does not need you to push it. It asks only that you remove the stones of fear. Every anxious thought, every declaration of I don't have, is a stone placed across your own stream. The universe does not damn you. You damn yourself with belief in limitation. The moment you let go, the water rushes in, eager to fill every dry place. The law of supply is automatic, impartial, constant. It cannot fail any more than the sun can cease to shine. To align is to remember that you are one with the source, not separate from it. The same intelligence that grows a forest and balances the stars flows through your veins. When you say, I am poor, you speak against that intelligence. You declare division where there is none. But when you say, I am one with the substance of abundance, it flows through me freely. You speak truth, and truth always sets the law in motion. You begin to notice signs, a forgotten debt repaid, a new path opened, a strange ease entering your affairs. The infinite begins to express through your smallest details, because you have stopped contradicting its nature. The human mind, trained in fear, believes it must earn, bargain, and compete for supply. Yet no flower negotiates with the soil. No tree struggles for its sunlight. They grow because they are aligned with the rhythm of life. They draw what they need by being what they are. You too must learn this sacred ease. Prosperity is not an achievement. It is a condition of harmony. When you think abundance, feel abundance, and act as though abundance were natural, you vibrate in harmony with the infinite, and the infinite flows without obstruction. This alignment begins within consciousness. It cannot be imposed from outside, for no external fortune can correct an inner belief in lack. If one wins riches while remaining misaligned, fear will consume the gain. Only when the inner tone matches the universal truth that all supply already exists, can the outer world reflect lasting prosperity. You are not attracting wealth. You are revealing it. The supply has never been away from you. It is your belief in separation that hides it from view. Think of a radio receiver. The air is filled with music, but you hear only static until you tune to the right frequency. The music was always there. Your alignment determines your experience. So it is with abundance. The divine frequency hums around you constantly. When you tune through faith, gratitude, and expectancy, you hear the melody of provision. When you tune to fear and worry, You hear the static of lack. The music never ceased, only your receiver drifted off key. To realign, begin with gratitude, not forced or formal, but genuine recognition of what already flows through your life. Gratitude is the language of the infinite. It says, I see you. I know you are here. The moment you give thanks for what is, you harmonize with what will be. You cease to vibrate at the level of complaint and begin to resonate with creation. Each word of gratitude is a tuning fork that clears the static of fear. The grateful heart cannot remain poor, for it is aligned with the river that gives endlessly. Next, watch your words, for they are the steering rudder of your alignment. When you speak of bills, burdens, or delays, you turn your vessel against the current. When you declare, everything I need is provided in perfect time and order, you align yourself again with flow. The law does not distinguish between truth and falsehood. It amplifies whatever tone you give it. Speak only what you wish multiplied. Each sentence is a compass, setting the direction of your supply. Your emotions, too, are indicators of alignment. Joy signals harmony, anxiety signals resistance. When you feel ease and confidence, you are tuned to the frequency of supply. When you feel tension or grasping, you are out of rhythm. Do not condemn yourself for it. Simply breathe, remember, and return. The current never punishes, it waits. The moment you relax, the tide lifts you again. The infinite supply is not outside, waiting to drop gifts into your lap. It is within, pressing to express through you. Every inspired idea, every skill, every impulse toward creation is the substance seeking outlet. When you write, build, speak, or serve with love, you become the channel through which abundance takes form. The universe expands through you, and in doing so, it must supply you. A stagnant mind cannot be prospered, but a creative one is always provided for, because giving and receiving are one motion of the same law. To align with infinite supply, one must let go of ownership and move into stewardship. You do not possess abundance, you participate in its circulation. The miser who hoards loses alignment for fear of loss, tightens the flow. The generous who gives freely remains in motion, and motion is life. The law of supply is circular. To receive, one must give. To keep, one must release. To grow, one must share. Each act of generosity widens your channel, allowing more to pass through. Faith is the foundation of alignment. Faith is not belief in something distant, it is knowledge of what already is. It is the quiet conviction that you live in an ordered universe, where good flows unceasingly. You do not need to call it forth, only to stop resisting it. Faith relaxes, while fear tenses. Faith expands, while doubt contracts. When you feel yourself contracting, remember the truth. You are surrounded by limitless intelligence, and it desires your expression. The body of the universe is one seamless fabric. There is no spot where the law does not operate. The gold in the mountain, the idea in your mind, the opportunity in a stranger's smile, all are threads of one cloth. The moment you align with that understanding, life begins to weave miracles through your days. You will notice coincidences that are not coincidences, doors opening in the rhythm of perfect timing, and people appearing as if summoned by your thought. You are not commanding them. You are harmonizing with the pattern that already includes them. Alignment with infinite supply does not demand purity of poverty or excess of wealth. It demands balance, to desire without grasping, to enjoy without clinging, to give without fear. The aligned soul knows that every need is met, whether through coin, idea, or grace. They no longer measure abundance by possessions, but by freedom. Freedom to think, to love, to rest, to create. For true supply is not what you own, but what flows through you unimpeded. When you wake in the morning, remember this: the air you breathe, the light that touches your eyes, the pulse within your chest, all are evidence of infinite supply. If the universe can sustain the stars, can it not sustain you? The same intelligence that balances the galaxies balances your accounts when you let it. The same law that feeds the sparrow arranges the channels of your provision. Your task is only to stay in tune, to speak words of agreement, to live in the certainty that the source and you are one and the same flow, endlessly giving, endlessly receiving, endlessly complete. There exists a sacred law, so subtle and precise that it has never failed since the first word was spoken into existence. It governs the rhythm between thought and thing, between imagination and incarnation. It is the law of immediate manifestation, the law that says creation responds, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, but now. For in divine consciousness there is no future, no waiting, no distance between desire and fulfillment. The instant you align word, emotion, and belief into one single vibration, manifestation begins its movement toward visibility. The delay you perceive is never the law's, it is the mind's. This law operates with a speed beyond measure. It is not a mechanical process that needs time to turn. It is instantaneous response to command. The invisible substance of the universe, call it spirit, energy, or divine intelligence, is sensitive to the slightest tone of belief. The moment a conviction is born, the field around you rearranges itself to reflect it. You may not yet see the outer proof, but the creation already exists, vibrating at a frequency awaiting your recognition. When your eyes finally behold it, you call it miracle, but the miracle was already complete when your consciousness accepted it as true. Immediate manifestation is not a privilege of saints. It is the natural function of consciousness. Every word you speak is an act of creation, every feeling a magnet, every belief a blueprint. Life is always manifesting. Instantly, continually, impartially. The only question is, what are you allowing it to manifest through you? When the mind is filled with fear, fear appears. When the heart rests in faith, abundance appears. The law cannot refuse to operate. It can only mirror your command. To understand this is to understand that delay and struggle are illusions born of divided belief. There is no slowness in divine supply. There is only resistance. The moment resistance is removed, manifestation floods in, like light through an open window. You may spend years working for what could have appeared in a moment of surrender. You may chase fortune across decades, while fortune stands beside you, waiting for your permission to enter. The universe is not testing you. It is waiting for you to stop contradicting yourself. Each time you affirm wealth and then speak of debt, you plant and uproot the same seed. The law acts on both. It brings what you affirm and then erases it at your next denial. To live by the law of immediate manifestation, one must first believe that the unseen is more real than the seen. The visible is only delayed light, the after-image of a decision already made in consciousness. The invisible is the womb, from which all things are born. When you declare a truth with full conviction, I am prosperous now. All doors open to me with ease. Divine supply rushes to fill every need. That truth immediately takes root in the unseen. The field of life begins to organize around it. The law does not analyze your worthiness or measure your past. It obeys only the vibration of certainty. There is a point of power in every moment when the heart feels as if the desire has already been fulfilled. That is the sacred instant where manifestation leaps from potential to reality. The feeling of possession, not the hope of it, is what summons form. The mind may ask how, but the law needs no instructions. It knows all channels and creates new ones where none exist. Your task is not to plan the path, but to hold the vibration, say the word, feel its truth, and rest in peace. The law cannot fail to respond, for failure does not exist in its language. Those who understand this law know that the outer world is always a delayed echo. They speak not to change things but to change vibration. The moment vibration changes, conditions begin to move. When they declare abundance, they do not look for coins. They look for signs of movement, ideas, inspirations, meetings, small openings. These are not beginnings. They are continuations of a process already complete in the unseen. The wise give thanks in that moment, knowing the manifestation is immediate in essence and inevitable in form. Immediate manifestation is not magic, it is mathematics of spirit. Just as a note struck on a harp instantly vibrates the string that matches it, your word instantly vibrates the substance of the universe. The sound may be beyond hearing, but it resounds through the web of creation, calling into harmony whatever matches its frequency. When your word carries the tone of belief, everything that shares that tone begins to move toward you. You are not attracting, you are harmonizing. The things you call to you were always present, waiting for the note of recognition. Many believe that material change must take time, because they measure reality by matter, but manifestation does not start in matter. It starts in mind. Mind moves faster than light, faster than time itself. When consciousness declares a new reality, matter bends to comply. The cells of the body, the elements of the earth, the patterns of circumstance, all rearrange at the signal of the master consciousness. The human limitation is not in speed, but in belief. The moment you stop expecting delay, delay ends. The secret to operating this law consciously lies in purity of thought and feeling. A single clear intention, spoken with faith, is infinitely stronger than 1,000 scattered wishes. When your mind says yes, and your heart says yes, and your word declares yes, the universe has no choice but to agree. But when one part of you affirms while another part doubts, the command is divided. The law reads the confusion and manifests delay to match it. Immediate manifestation is not denied. It is postponed by inner contradiction. You do not need to repeat your decree for it to be heard. The law is not deaf. It is exact. The instant the word is spoken from truth, it is sealed. Repetition is useful only to strengthen your belief, not to convince the universe. You may repeat until your heart catches up. But the power lies not in the number of words, but in their quality. A single phrase, spoken with conviction, outweighs an hour of fearful affirmations. Speak once, believe wholly, and let go. The law is immediate. It has already begun to act. Observe nature and you will see this immediacy everywhere. The moment the seed touches soil and water, growth begins. The instant light touches a closed flower, it opens. Creation wastes no time. It acts as soon as conditions align. So too does your consciousness. When belief, emotion, and word align, manifestation blooms without delay. The flower of your desire does not need to learn to grow. It knows how. Your task is only to stop shading it with fear. Faith is the recognition that manifestation is happening now. Doubt is the belief that it might happen later. The difference is the difference between immediate and delayed creation. Those who live in faith experience the law as swift and precise. Those who live in worry experience it as slow and uncertain. Yet both are using the same law. The only variable is vibration. Change your vibration, and time collapses. Change your tone, and life responds as if it had only been waiting for your voice. To align with this law, you must practice awareness in every word. When you say, "I can't afford it," the universe instantly agrees. When you say, "I am richly supplied," the same law agrees again. It is immediate, impartial, consistent. You cannot pause the law. You can only direct it. Each thought is a decree. Each feeling is a confirmation. Each word is a command. Life moves at the speed of your consciousness. Those who master this principle walk in quiet confidence. They do not rush, for they know creation is already underway. They do not worry, for they know the answer has already been given. Their calmness is not indifference, but assurance. They speak once and then act as though it were finished, because in truth, it is. They live as if the invisible were visible, and the invisible rushes to obey that certainty. The law of immediate manifestation does not concern itself with sequence, only with substance. The moment the vibration of your being declares, "I have," the universe mirrors it back. Whether the evidence arrives through money, opportunity, or coincidence is irrelevant. The law chooses the shortest path. It weaves through circumstance with precision, touching everything necessary to bring the invisible into form. It wastes no motion, for it is divine efficiency itself. To the untrained eye, manifestation may seem delayed, but in spirit it is instantaneous. The moment you speak, the unseen begins to stir. The moment you believe, the scene begins to shift. Each breath carries within it the potential of a new reality. The law waits for no one. It is always responding. The universe is not counting days, it is measuring vibration. When vibration says, now, creation says, done. After every true decree there comes a sacred stillness, the quiet that follows creation, the pause in which power fulfills its promise. This is the silence after the word, the holy moment where human will withdraws and divine intelligence completes the work. To speak the word is to set the law in motion. To rest in silence afterward is to trust that the motion is perfect. It is in that quiet, not in striving or repetition, that manifestation ripens. All creation follows this rhythm: word, silence, form. Just as the universe was spoken into being and then rested on the seventh day, so must every act of spiritual command be followed by repose. The silence is not absence. It is activity beyond sound. It is the womb in which the decree becomes flesh, the invisible workshop where thought solidifies into circumstance. When one speaks with faith, the word leaves the mouth as vibration, enters the ethers as law, and then descends through layers of invisible substance until it clothes itself in matter. During this descent, silence is required, not the silence of doubt, but the silence of confidence. For just as a seed grows best undisturbed beneath the soil, so too does the word flourish in unseen regions, when left untroubled by fear. Most people destroy the fruit of their word by speaking too soon. They plant the seed of prosperity and then dig it up with impatience. They say, "Why has nothing happened yet?" Or perhaps I must say it again. Such words undo what was already done. The silence after the word is the proof of faith. The one who knows that the law is faithful does not need to repeat commands or check progress. They rest in serene expectancy. They understand that what has been decreed is already moving toward visibility through channels too vast for human control. This silence is not laziness, nor is it indifference. It is active stillness, a vibration of trust that hums beneath thought. In this quiet, all energies align. The forces of heaven and earth, spirit and substance, converge without interference. To hold this silence is to stand between worlds, one foot in the invisible, one in the visible, watching as the bridge forms between them. Nothing more is required. The universe does not need your supervision. It needs your surrender. The silence, after the word, is also a form of listening. Creation is not a monologue. It is a dialogue between the soul and the infinite. You speak, and then you listen for the answer. The response rarely comes as thunder. It comes as intuition, as the gentle guidance that whispers the next step, the idea, the invitation, the perfect timing. Those who never pause cannot hear. Their words fill the air with noise, leaving no space for the echo of the divine reply. The silence is where that echo returns, confirming that your decree has been heard and answered. Every great work in nature honors this silence. The earth does not rush its seasons. After each outpouring of creation comes rest. The tide withdraws after its rise. The night follows the blaze of day. Silence is not the opposite of sound, but its completion. Without it, rhythm cannot exist. The same law applies to manifestation. The word sets rhythm in motion. The silence completes the circuit. When you learn to rest between command and appearance, your creations become effortless. The silence after the word is also the proving ground of faith. Anyone can speak with confidence. Few can wait in stillness without fear. In this quiet interval, the mind may tempt you with doubt, whispering, Perhaps nothing is happening, but if you hold steady, if you refuse to disturb the seed with anxiety, you will feel the invisible currents strengthening around you. The silence begins to glow. What was once emptiness becomes presence. The unseen moves like a great tide beneath calm waters. True silence is not empty of sound, but full of power. It is the pause between lightning and thunder, between cause and effect. In this pause, the entire universe rearranges itself to match the vibration of your word. You do not need to know how, the law knows. Your task is to stay aligned with the tone of your decree, to keep your atmosphere peaceful and receptive. Worry creates static that disturbs the current. Calm trust keeps the line clear. The more quietly you wait, the faster the manifestation unfolds, for silence amplifies the signal of faith. In this sacred stillness, gratitude becomes your language. You no longer ask or question. You give thanks. Gratitude is the speech of silence. It says, "I know it is done." It releases the need for evidence, because the feeling itself is evidence enough. When gratitude fills the silence, the vibration of completion strengthens, and the universe hastens to prove it. The one who can thank before seeing is the one who truly understands the law. This silence is not an escape from the world. It is the most creative act within it. The artist who contemplates before painting, the inventor who dreams before building, the farmer who waits between sowing and harvest, all are practicing the same principle. Outward stillness is not weakness, it is gestation. The mind that never stops talking, never creates deeply. The heart that can rest in silence becomes a channel through which new worlds are born. The silence after the word is also a sanctuary. In it, fear cannot survive, for fear feeds on motion and noise. When you enter stillness after speaking your decree, you close the door on all opposing voices. The clamor of the outer world fades, and you feel the vibration of your own word continuing its work. In that feeling lies assurance. You sense that the universe has already accepted your command and that life itself is rearranging to fulfill it. This knowing becomes your shelter. You walk through the world untouched by delay or doubt. To dwell in silence after the word is to practice mastery. The beginner speaks and rushes to act. The adept speaks and waits for direction. Action, when it arises from silence, is inspired and swift. It needs no effort, for it is guided by the completed pattern within the unseen. When you act prematurely, you work against the flow. When you act from silence, you move with it. Thus, your smallest step carries infinite force, for it is supported by the entire current of divine will. Every silence after the word is different, yet all share the same sacred atmosphere. Sometimes it feels peaceful, like dawn before the birds sing. Sometimes it feels heavy, like clouds before rain. Sometimes it feels electric, like air before thunder. But in every case, something is forming. The invisible is vibrating just beyond sight. If you could see through the veil, you would behold particles of light knitting themselves into form. You would see ideas flying across the web of consciousness, arranging encounters and events in perfect order. All of this happens in the quiet, the mysterious workshop of the law. Many souls misunderstand this silence, mistaking it for stagnation. They think nothing is happening, and so begin again, disrupting what was already complete. The wise, however, recognize that silence is the proof of activity. They understand that the moment after the word is the most potent of all, for it is the moment when divine intelligence takes over. Their calmness is not apathy, it is reverence for the process. They do not rush the universe, they honor its precision. Silence also refines the word itself. When you rest after speaking, you allow your vibration to settle into harmony with what you have declared. The echo of your decree continues to resonate through your being, aligning every cell, every thought, every emotion with the new reality. Without this alignment, manifestation would appear fragmented. The silence ensures that your inner world matches the word you have spoken. Only then can the outer world reflect it perfectly. In this stillness, you come to realize that true creation is effortless. You see that struggle is born of disbelief, and that silence is the highest form of power. For in silence, you become one with the infinite, and the infinite needs no strain to fulfill its will. The more deeply you trust this quiet, the faster the results come, because trust removes interference. Silence is the bridge from cause to effect, from the spoken decree to the realized form. Those who have mastered this art can speak once and then retreat into peace. They do not chase signs or search for proof. They walk through the day as though everything were already arranged, because in truth it is. The silence after their word becomes an aura of calm authority. Others feel it and respond without knowing why. Doors open for them, conversations shift in their favor. Circumstances yield effortlessly. The world bends to their quiet confidence, for silence itself has become their command. When you have learned to rest in the silence after the word, you will know that creation does not need your help. It only needs your trust. You will no longer plead for manifestation, for you will feel it forming in the hush around you. You will sense the law at work, invisible yet undeniable, like the pulse of the ocean beneath the still surface of the tide. This is the sacred rhythm of creation. Speak, believe, and be still. In that stillness, the unseen becomes seen, and the eternal word fulfills itself through you. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the unseen and the seen, the idea and its embodiment. It is the divine eyesight of the soul that perceives reality long before the physical senses awaken to it. To live by faith beyond evidence is to walk in the realm of cause, not effect, to rest in the certainty of that which is not yet visible, knowing that the invisible is always the parent of form. The one who waits for proof has already lost alignment, for proof belongs to the world of results, while faith belongs to the world of origins. Faith speaks first, evidence follows like an obedient shadow. In the kingdom of spirit, nothing is withheld from the one who believes without needing to see. The law of creation answers the vibration of conviction, not the pleading of doubt. The universe hears the tone of certainty as command. Faith is not hope, it is knowing. Hope still waits. Faith has already received. Hope asks, faith thanks. Hope watches the soil. Faith smells the bloom before it has broken the ground. When the soul knows that its word is law, it no longer bargains or wonders. It rests in the assurance that what has been declared exists already in the unseen and must soon reveal itself. To have faith beyond evidence is to see with a different kind of sight. The eyes of flesh report delay, limitation, or lack, but the inner eye beholds only completion. The one who believes does not argue with appearances, for appearances are transient masks. They are the echoes of old thoughts, the reflections of yesterday's disbelief. Faith does not battle with them, it simply looks beyond them, as one might look through mist to the mountain behind it. When the mist clears, the mountain was never missing, only hidden. Every miracle, recorded in sacred history, was born of this kind of faith. The waters parted because one refused to doubt. The loaves multiplied because gratitude was stronger than arithmetic. The sick rose because belief overruled the senses. In every case, the outer world rearranged itself to mirror the inner conviction. The same law operates still. The universe has not aged nor grown weary. It continues to respond to consciousness exactly as it did at the dawn of creation. The one who believes sees the impossible melt into ordinary fact, for faith turns imagination into substance. Faith beyond evidence does not depend on circumstance for nourishment. It feeds itself upon conviction. It does not say, "I will believe when I see improvement." It says, "I believe because truth cannot fail." The outer world may seem barren, yet faith walks through it as through a field already blooming. It touches nothing with fear. It does not measure the emptiness of the cup. It feels the overflow of the invisible source pouring into it. This kind of faith carries an atmosphere of quiet power that bends reality toward it. The faithful need not chase. They attract, they do not persuade, they allow. The mind that lives by appearances wavers like a leaf in every wind, but the soul anchored in faith is immovable. When the senses cry, "There is no way," faith answers, "The way is already prepared." When the world declares lack, faith hears abundance humming beneath the surface. Faith is the inner ear that catches the tone of truth, even when all outer noise denies it. It listens to the deeper rhythm of the universe, which always sings of order, supply, and completion. This kind of faith is not naive optimism. It is not denial of reality. It is understanding of deeper reality. To deny appearances is to ignore the shadow. To transcend them is to recognize the light that casts them. Faith does not close its eyes to the visible. It opens them wider, perceiving both levels, the temporary and the eternal, and choosing which to give power. The soul that sees both and sides with truth cannot be shaken. Faith beyond evidence is the silence between decree and manifestation. It is the strength to hold your vibration steady when the senses still echo the old reality. It is the refusal to call the seed dead because it has not yet sprouted. It is the discipline of remaining unmoved, knowing that every prayer is answered the moment it is spoken, and that time is only the servant of alignment. The faithful do not dig up their seeds to check their progress. They water them with gratitude and shield them with praise until the bloom appears. There will always come a moment of testing, a space where the outer world seems to mock the inner word. This is the crucible of faith. The delay is not punishment, it is refinement. It purifies the decree of all residue of fear, leaving only gold. In that moment, you are asked to choose between sight and substance, between evidence and essence. If you cling to the invisible truth, even as appearances crumble, the law rewards you with manifestation so swift and complete that you realize it had been building all along beneath the surface. Faith beyond evidence requires intimacy with the unseen. You must know the nature of divine substance so deeply that its invisibility does not disturb you. You must become as familiar with the presence of the infinite as with your own breath. The one who lives in communion with this presence no longer waits for proof. They feel the pulse of creation moving through them constantly. They sense that every word spoken in alignment is already fulfilled in another dimension, awaiting only their acceptance to become visible. To cultivate such faith, one must train the imagination. The imagination is the workshop of belief. When you see your desire fulfilled in the inner picture, you are not fantasizing, you are aligning. The universe does not distinguish between inner and outer. It only mirrors focus. What you hold consistently in thought and feeling becomes reality. To live by faith beyond evidence, you must dwell so vividly in the world of your fulfilled desire that the outer world has no choice but to imitate it. The inner pattern always precedes the outer form. Faith beyond evidence is the mother of rest. When you know that your word cannot fail, you cease striving. You do not rush, for what is already yours cannot be taken. You do not plead, for what has been decreed cannot be denied. You become still, not from indifference but from mastery. The one who believes deeply walks through life with the calm authority of ownership. They need no proof, for their own consciousness is proof enough. They know that whatever exists within belief must appear without. When you live in this awareness, the world begins to rearrange itself with astonishing precision. Doors open before you think to knock. Help arrives before you call. Resources appear as though summoned by unseen hands. This is not coincidence. It is correspondence. The outer world echoes the conviction within. The speed and grace of manifestation correspond exactly to the level of your certainty. The stronger your faith, the quicker the reflection. Faith beyond evidence also transforms adversity into instrument. The faithful do not curse difficulty. They interpret it as the final clearing of space for fulfillment. They know that sometimes the law must dismantle old structures to build new ones. When things seem to fall apart, faith sees them falling into place. What others call loss, faith recognizes as preparation. Thus the faithful never panic. They bless, their blessing neutralizes chaos and turns it into order. This kind of faith must not be confused with passivity. It does not sit idly, waiting for miracles. It moves with inner conviction, acting from the end instead of toward it. It behaves as if the manifestation were already complete, and in doing so, it hastens the result. Every act, word, and gesture carries the frequency of fulfillment. The faithful spend not a moment in despair, for they know despair is a contradiction of truth. Their very posture declares, "It is done." Faith beyond evidence cannot coexist with fear, for fear is faith in the opposite direction. It is belief in failure instead of success, lack instead of supply. The universe does not punish fear. It mirrors it. When you replace fear with unwavering confidence, the mirror shifts instantly. The same law that reflected loss begins to reflect abundance. The power never changed. Only your use of it did. To practice faith beyond evidence is to take your eyes off the clock. Time is the servant of those who know. It is the master of those who doubt. The moment you measure progress, you imply delay. The moment you compare, you affirm separation. The faithful neither measure nor compare. They live as though every desire were already fulfilled, for in the eternal now, it is, the universe has no calendar. It responds to consciousness immediately. The one who holds faith beyond evidence becomes luminous. Their atmosphere radiates calm authority. People feel their presence and sense something unshakable, a peace that passes understanding. This peace is not resignation, but realization. It is the awareness that every good thing already exists in the mind of the infinite and flows toward them by right of consciousness. They do not pursue, they attract, they do not defend, they allow. They live in continuous dialogue with abundance, unmoved by appearances, sustained by knowing. Faith beyond evidence is the purest form of creation, for it joins the human and the divine in perfect trust. It says, "I need no sign, for I am the sign. I need no proof, for I am the proof. What I know within, I will see without." In that knowing, all walls collapse, all doubts dissolve, and the invisible becomes inevitable. Every word spoken with belief carries a pulse, a vibration, a magnetic field that extends far beyond the hearing of the ear. It is not the mere sound that creates, but the energy clothed in the sound, the invisible current of conviction moving through each syllable. The magnetic word is the living bridge between the invisible idea and its visible form. When you speak, you release an electrical charge into the field of creation, and that charge gathers to itself conditions, people, and circumstances of similar vibration. The magnetism of the word depends not on eloquence, not on volume, but on the purity and strength of the emotion behind it. The magnetic word is born of inner alignment. It draws from the unity of thought, feeling, and purpose. When mind and heart are in harmony, the voice becomes the instrument of the divine will. Each utterance, even if whispered, carries authority. When you speak from confusion, the energy scatters. When you speak from knowing, it condenses. Words become magnetic when they are spoken from the center of certainty. The timid phrase, "I hope," carries no current, but the simple "I am," spoken from the core of being reverberates across realms. Creation responds not to doubt, but to recognition. Everything in the universe moves by vibration. The stars hum, the cells sing, the stones pulse with silent rhythm. Your words are no exception. Each one releases a frequency that either harmonizes with abundance or discord with lack. The magnetic word is one that hums in tune with the universal chord of life. It attracts all that belongs to its tone: prosperity, peace, opportunity, health, because the law of resonance cannot be broken. What you send forth returns multiplied, clothed in form. The voice of a person who has discovered this truth carries an unmistakable calm authority. Their words are few, but they land with weight. When they bless, things flourish. When they affirm, doors open. Their speech is never idle, for they understand that language is a sacred instrument. To them, words are not decorations of thought, but vehicles of power. They do not speak to fill silence. They speak to move substance. And because their words are charged with spiritual electricity, the universe answers them in kind. The magnetic word is more than positive speech. It is charged intention. You cannot fool the universe with words empty of conviction. The law listens to tone, not phrasing. If the feeling behind your words is fear, you draw to yourself the evidence of fear. If the feeling is confidence, you summon proof of success. The magnetic word must be felt before it is spoken. When the emotion of certainty fills the heart, the word becomes irresistible. It leaves your lips as command, not request. Consider the seed of the oak. Within its small form lies the pattern of the tree. Likewise, within every spoken decree lies the pattern of manifestation. The word is the seed. The world is its soil. The more powerfully charged the seed, the faster it takes root. A word magnetized with conviction cannot fail to bear fruit. The timing of its growth depends on the constancy of your vibration. Speak once, believe completely, and the magnet of your word continues its work long after you have forgotten it. The atmosphere around every person is shaped by the words they habitually speak. Some walk under clouds of complaint and wonder why the light of fortune does not reach them. Others carry an aura of faith that bends reality toward their will. The magnetic word constructs this aura, a field of resonance that draws all good things into orbit. Wherever such a person goes, synchronicities occur, help arrives, opportunities unfold, paths clear. This is not luck, it is law. Their vibration precedes them like a golden current, arranging everything to match its tone. To cultivate magnetic speech, one must first cultivate magnetic thought. Words are only the overflow of consciousness. If thought is divided, speech is weak. If thought is unified, speech becomes a wand of power. The magnetic word emerges naturally from the mind that is disciplined in truth. It requires no strain, no theatrical force. Its strength lies in serenity. The calm voice of knowing is mightier than the loud voice of fear. The quiet, "It is done," spoken in faith can rearrange the conditions of life more swiftly than 1,000 shouts of desperation. The magnetic word also requires purity of motive. A word charged with selfish desire is heavy. It drags itself through the ethers and dissipates. But a word spoken from the consciousness of harmony and service soars. The universe recognizes its kinship with the greater good and hastens to assist it. When your word blesses the whole, it cannot return void. It moves through channels you could never imagine, touching hearts and minds that become instruments of your fulfillment. Thus the purest magnetism is born not of greed, but of gratitude. There is a sacred discipline in speaking only when you are inwardly aligned. Idle chatter scatters the magnetic current, just as constant friction weakens an electric charge. Every careless word leaks energy. The one who understands the law speaks with intention, guarding speech as a treasure. Their words are few, but golden. They carry the weight of silence behind them. Even their simplest statements hold authority because they arise from an uncluttered heart. The magnetic word is not about the many phrases you say. It is about the power that moves through the few that matter. The more consistently you speak in harmony with abundance, the more magnetic you become. Every repetition of truth strengthens the field around you. You are building a current of faith, a spiritual magnet that draws supply without effort. This magnet does not tire or decay. It grows stronger through gratitude, serenity, and right use. The moment you speak from anger or fear, you reverse the polarity. Yet even then, the shift back is simple. Speak again from love, and the current corrects itself. The law never punishes. It merely reflects. In the silence before you speak, your intention gathers strength. The stillness is the coil where energy winds. When you finally give voice to the word, the stored power releases like lightning. clear and focused. This is why words spoken in moments of calm certainty carry more force than those shouted in anxiety. The magnetic word is not loud, it is precise. It does not plead, it declares. It does not hope, it knows. Such a word becomes a living entity that continues to work in the unseen long after the sound has faded. When two or more people speak from this magnetic consciousness, their combined decree multiplies in power. The resonance between them creates a field strong enough to alter collective circumstances. Harmony of belief amplifies magnetism, while discord weakens it. Thus, the company you keep and the words you share are of immense importance. To join voices in complaint is to build a magnet for failure. To join voices in gratitude is to build a magnet for miracles. The magnetic word also governs relationships. Words of love and appreciation draw people nearer. Words of judgment repel them. Each sentence carries an invisible charge that shapes human connection. The gentle phrase heals. The harsh one wounds, because energy obeys emotion. To speak kindly is to magnetize harmony. To speak cruelly is to magnetize discord. You cannot utter a blessing without blessing yourself, nor a curse without dimming your own light. The magnet of your word encircles you. What you send out must return. When your words are aligned with divine truth, they become creative instruments through which the infinite expresses. The universe itself speaks through you, shaping matter, time, and circumstance. In that moment, you are no longer a mere speaker. You are a conduit of the cosmic current. Every declaration becomes prophecy. Every phrase, when steeped in faith, ripples outward into manifestation. The magnetic word is the divine in motion, consciousness clothed in vibration. To master this art, you must remember the holiness of speech. Language is not a casual gift. It is the echo of the original command, "Let there be." Each time you speak, you repeat that first act of creation in miniature. The more reverently you use your word, the more magnetic it becomes. Fikari only that which you desire to live. Let your words be blessings, not burdens. Let them ring with gratitude, not grievance. Let them build, not destroy. There is power even in the unspoken word. The thoughts you silently affirm carry the same magnetism as spoken decree. The universe reads the language of vibration, not articulation. Yet when thought finds voice, its magnetism doubles, for sound adds weight to spirit. The vibration becomes anchored in the physical plane, and manifestation quickens. Speak your truth aloud when your heart is sure, for the spoken word seals the energy and form. Every life is surrounded by its own magnetic field of words. Some fields hum with the sound of wealth, others with scarcity. To change your life, change your speech. Speak as one who is already blessed, already supplied, already guided. Speak of success as your natural state. Speak of joy as your rightful inheritance. With each word, you adjust your magnet. Soon the outer world rearranges to match your new tone, for it cannot resist the pull of magnetic truth. The magnetic word is the law in motion. It is the current that flows from divine mind through human consciousness into form. When you speak it, the universe bends to listen, and substance moves to obey. It is not a trick, not a charm, but the natural power of awakened speech, the moment when the voice of humanity and the voice of the infinite become one vibration, calling all that is yours out of silence into being. In the beginning of all beginnings, there was vibration, a living breath that clothed itself in syllables and walked the corridors of the unseen. That breath has never ceased. It moves through your chest each time you speak, and travels into the fabric of the world to knit circumstances after its pattern. The spoken word is not a report of reality. It is the architect of it. Each utterance chisels the invisible stone, and the chisel is tempered by feeling and conviction. When you name yourself supplied, the ethers begin to gather coin and favor around your name. When you name yourself lacking, the same ethers obediently thin the field. The tongue sets the plumb line by which walls, doors, and windows of destiny are erected. Sound is substance in motion, and your voice is the bell that summons it to form. The creative power of speech is impartial, exact, and immediate in essence. It does not ask whether you deserve what you decree, it asks only whether you are certain. The more purely your word is spoken, unalloyed with complaint, free of self-contradiction, the more swiftly substance condenses around it. You are never merely telling the world what you see, you are always telling it what to become. To wake to this truth is to guard your lips like a treasury gate, and to weigh every sentence as though it were gold dust being poured into the mold of tomorrow. When consciousness stands still and whole, one sentence is enough. A single decree, spoken from the throne within, is stronger than 1,000 anxious repetitions. The perfect command arises where desire, belief, and identity meet. I am. Not I may be. Not I hope to be. But I am. From that altitude the word is sovereign. It does not plead with heaven. It instructs substance. The one who gives such a command must also refuse the temptation to edit it later with doubt. The seal on a royal edict is broken, not by enemies, but by the ruler's own second-guessing. Therefore the discipline is brevity born of certainty. To say it once, to feel it true, and to leave the rest to law. Creation never yawns, never stretches, never ambles toward its work. It answers now. The moment a decree is spoken with a tone of knowing, unseen gears begin to turn. You may call the early signs coincidence, but coincidence is only the first glimmer of obedience. The mind calls the interim waiting, yet the universe calls it arrangement. The roots are growing, the scaffolds are rising, the plot of your prosperity is being cast, and your name assigned the central role. From the side of spirit, there is no gap between command and reply. Only the soft choreography by which results take the least resistant path into your calendar and your accounts. Supply is not a caravan coming over the hill. It is the hill itself and the sky and the wind that moves across your face. Lack is a posture, not a condition. To align is to stop arguing with abundance, to relax the fists of fear so the current can pass. Gratitude tunes the receiver. Expectancy fixes the dial. Generosity widens the channel. When you think in terms of flow rather than possession, provision arrives as idea, as favor, as skill, as sudden introductions, as precise timing. The law cannot withhold from an open gate. It rushes where it is welcomed, and welcome is written in the atmosphere of your thoughts, your tone, your ease, your willingness to let what enters also circulate and bless. This law does not count hours. It weighs vibrations. A split belief produces a slow echo. A unified belief produces a swift reflection. Immediate is the nature of correspondence. Speak as fulfilled and the field answers with fulfilled patterns, first in subtlety, then in substance. What appears as later is only the time needed for your daily gestures to catch up with your finished decree. The moment the inner picture is accepted as complete, the outer begins to bend. Matter is obedient clay, mind is the potter's wheel. Revolve the wheel steadily with assurance, and form appears under your hands as if it had been waiting inside the lump, which it had. There is a holy hush in which power performs its unseen geometry. After the decree, the craftsman leaves the workshop so the kiln can fire undisturbed. To pry open the oven is to cool the heat and crack the glaze. So the soul, having spoken, retires into rest, not idleness but poised consent. In that quiet the next instruction rises like a tide to touch the ankles. Make this call, draft this letter, pause here, knock there. Acts born of silence carry the weight of inevitability. They are small, exact, and strangely effortless. Each one a stepping stone that seems to appear the instant your foot needs it. Evidence is a faithful servant, but a poor master. When you enthrone the senses, they pay you with yesterday. When you enthrone faith, it pays you with tomorrow becoming today. Faith looks through scaffolding to see the cathedral complete and then behaves accordingly. Selecting music, lighting candles, inviting guests. This behavior is not pretense. It is agreement. It says to the universe, we are of one mind. Composition and delay arrive only to be drafted into service. For faith interprets every seeming setback as reconfiguration and every detour as exact guidance around unseen rubble. The world, having no defense against a settled conviction, eventually concedes and arranges itself to match the gaze that would not blink. Now the eightfold current converges into one river, magnetism. The word becomes a lodestone when it carries the charge of all that has been named, creative power in the tongue, the economy of a single decree, the immediacy of universal response, a posture of alignment, the mathematics of instant correspondence, the sanctuary of post-speech silence, and the gaze of faith that asks for no proofs. Such a word does not chase outcomes, it draws them. It does not hammer at doors, hinges loosen at its approach. It moves through rooms you have not yet entered and whispers your name into favorable conversations before you arrive. Magnetism begins where identity is settled. The sentence "I am provided for," spoken by one who still calls themselves unlucky, is a spark on wet tinder, but the same sentence issuing from a self that knows its lineage in infinite supply becomes a sun swelling into noon. Language is a garment. Consciousness is the body beneath it. When the body is strong, even simple cloth hangs with majesty. Therefore, the practice is not ornamented phrases, but a clarified self-sense. I am the place where abundance shows itself. My word is the invitation and the avenue. The magnetic word lives in the mouth that refuses leakage. Complaint is a hole in the bucket. Comparison is a crack running down its side. To conserve current is to let your sentences be few, clean, and consistent with the world you are summoning. A single daily declaration, steadied by grateful demeanor and generous habit, builds a field around you. First a shimmer, then a hum, then a palpable atmosphere. Others can feel when they step into your presence. They call it confidence, luck, timing. You recognize it as resonance, the song of your decree returning to you through voices and events you could not have orchestrated by strategy alone. Magnetism increases with purity of motive. Words that seek only private gain carry a cramped frequency. They attract small and they cost much. Words that intend circulation ring wider. When your prosperity includes other boats rising on your tide, the ocean commits itself to your voyage. Business becomes benefaction. Artistry becomes service. Craft becomes an altar. Because the law recognizes itself in such intentions, it multiplies their reach. Invitations outnumber inquiries. Referrals appear unasked. Your name travels faster than your footsteps, because the field has determined that your expansion equals wider blessing. To charge the word is to steep it in felt reality. The heart must taste the sentence before the mouth speaks it. This tasting happens in the inner theater, where you rehearse the texture of the fulfilled state, not as fantasy, but as consent. Consent is a soft opening in the chest that says yes without strain. When the yes is full, sound becomes seal. Speak then, and not before. A word born prematurely begs for proof. A word born at term requires none. It goes out with a weight that bends circumstance, the way a planet bends light, drawing paths you never knew existed into arcs that end at your door. Magnetism feeds on order. Put your house in harmony with your decree. Settle small debts as a ceremony of completion. Mend the seam, clear the drawer, answer the letter. Such gestures are not moral chores, they are tuning forks. They inform substance that you are a faithful steward of increase. Disorder sings a static that repels opportunity. Order hums a tone to which resources love to travel. The magnetic word spoken from an ordered life becomes a bell whose sound is both beautiful and unmistakable. And the world, being an echoing place, returns the tone as matching invitations and precise provision. The field strengthens through rhythm. Daily, quietly, you touch the sentence that frames your season. Supply flows to and through me, in perfect ways now. Do not peck at it. Hold it the way one holds a warm cup, steadily, gratefully, letting the heat enter the hands. Pair it with action that matches its dignity. If the decree says you are entrusted with much, Move through rooms with the bearing of entrusted ones. If the decree says channels open, walk to the edge of your current channel and lay boards toward the next, an email drafted, a portfolio assembled, a call placed with courtesy and clarity. The field prefers congruence. It rushes where inner, outer, and spoken agree. Magnetism refines speech into blessing. To speak well of others is to polish the mirror that must soon reflect you. Admiration is a solvent. It dissolves envy, which is rust on the magnet. Bless the successes you witness, and they begin to behave like scouts for your own. Resist them, and they wander elsewhere, taking with them news of fertile ground. The magnetic word does not curse rivals. It erases rivalry by widening the table. In rooms where your presence quiets anxiety rather than sharpening it, doors have a habit of staying open even when storms rattle the street. Silence remains the battery. Between declarations, be still enough to hear the instructed step. Sometimes the step is the smallest hinge on which the heaviest door swings. Decline the misaligned offer, revise the opening line, leave 5 minutes earlier than habit dictates. A magnetic field does not only attract, it arranges. To feel arrangement is to notice the soft nudge and to honor it before it repeats as friction. The more promptly you heed the subtle, the fewer loud corrections are required, and the more seamless the arrival of what your word has summoned. Faith guards the field from erosion. There will be days when outer weather contradicts inner forecast. Do not rewrite your climate to match a passing cloud. Hold the decree with gentle certainty, the way a lighthouse holds its beam over water that cannot decide between storm and calm. Your steadiness itself becomes a navigational aid to others. Some will steer by your light without knowing why, and in steering with you they will also steer toward you, carrying opportunities as passengers they only later realize were meant for your harbor. Let the final craft of this epilogue be practice. Speak less, mean more, ask little, thank much, move slowly, decide cleanly, give first, receive freely, bless widely, correct quietly, align your rooms with your sentences. Let your word be the weather to which your days conform. Do this, and the magnetic field will swell until the life you inhabit feels inevitable in the loveliest sense, not forced, not precarious, not borrowed, but rightfully yours by tone and by law, drawn to the sound that has always belonged to you and is now, at last, being sung without tremor.